Great. So it is now 6:35. And I'd like to welcome everyone to Bronx Community Board 7's Veterans Committee. My name is Chad Royer. I'm the chair of the Veterans Committee. And I want to thank everyone for joining.
I'm here.
And while I'm letting people into the room, I would like to let our Vice Chair, Helene Red, kindly go over the guidelines. Are you ready to go over the guidelines?
Yes, I'm ready, Chad.
Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Helene Red. I'm the Vice Chair of the Veterans Committee. This is Community Board 7 Veterans Committee. The committee agenda is as follows. Woodlawn Cemetery. Excuse me?
Go ahead.
Oh, Woodlawn Cemetery. Let me turn this volume up. Woodlawn Cemetery, new business, suicide prevention update, VA hospital update, New York City Veterans Advisory Board discussion on VA closures, topic for the June 2022 committee meeting. Okay. The committee agenda, oh, I did the agenda already, right?
Yeah.
Okay. On September the 2nd, 2021, Governor Kathy Hochul signed into law Chapter 417 of the law of 2021. Am I reading it right? Okay, which authorized the community board to run this meeting remotely. And minutes will be taken for record keeping. The minutes will appear on our website within days and can be requested from the Bronx CB7 staff at any time. If you're calling into the meeting on the conference controls while joining from a landline or cell, or by calling dial-up number *6, to hear all available commands, enter ** on your phone. *6 is to mute or unmute yourself. *9, virtually raise your hand. How we will run this meeting is as follows. Code of conduct for meeting. Penalties and action. Bronx Community Board 7 has the right to remove and ask a member of the public to leave a meeting or block participants of anyone who engage in an inappropriate conduct, including but not limited to obscene or offensive images or languages, personal attacks, threats, or any other behavior that reasonably impedes the orderly administration of the meeting. Repeated offenses will be reviewed by the board executive committee or any other assigned committees for a ban. The amount of time to be objectively determined by the above committees of the participant in the event of repeated disruptive behavior. If in-person outbursts or attacks continue, this will be considered disturbing the peace and the authorities shall be summoned. Everyone besides the speaker presenter will stay muted throughout the meeting. After each presentation is over, I will inquire if committee members have questions. Committee members will signify that they have a question by pressing the raise hand button on your screen, or request to speak through the chat or when the chair opens the floor. Members of the public who have joined through online link will be able to ask questions and make a brief statement on the item after each presentation and after the committee has had an opportunity to ask clarified questions. By pressing the raise hand button on your screen or request to speak through the chat or when the chair opens the floor. Only those recognized by the chair of the committee will be allowed to speak during the allotted time. Am I going too fast or too slow?
No, go ahead. You're almost done.
We will stay on topic with the agenda items. Any other items will be acknowledged by the chair in new business or addressed at the next meeting, granted there's time and the committee agrees on the topic. Following the questions discussed and public comments portion, the committee will begin their discussions after each presentation, agenda items, and will conclude with the decision to vote on a recommendation. When the agenda is finished, the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Okay, you got something.
Now, we'd like to go over the roll call of the members of the committee. Would you like to go over the roll call quickly?
Okay, thank you, Chad. Hello, everyone. I will now go over the attendance of the meetings. First name is, oh, no, I don't have to do that. Chad Roy,
I'm here.
Eileen Red, present. Jean Hill,
Present.
Emmanuel, always get his name.
Asamoah. Emmanuel is here, present.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good.
Hugo Gonzalez.
Present.
Okay, we have quorum.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. So next item that we're going to cover is the approval of the minutes. Would you like to take care of that for us as well?
Yes. Now, all of a sudden, my papers get mixed up. I'm sorry.
Well, I've seen the minutes. Has anyone else seen them?
I've seen the minutes also. Have anyone else seen the minutes?
Yes, I've seen the minutes.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
have any comments.
Any comments, questions, changes?
No comments.
Nothing.
So all in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion passes to approve the minutes of March 16th.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for that. So next on the next topic on the agenda, we have an update that we covered from the last couple meetings where we wanted to find out what was going on with Woodlawn Cemetery, if they're allowing members of the public to participate in any flagging events for the Memorial Day weekend. So we recently got an update. So they have something on May 22nd. So for those who want to participate, participants will be given flags and a map where they can guide themselves, where they can actually place the flags at veterans' graves. We are awaiting a timeline when they will allow members of the public to take part. So even the date of May 22nd, that might be subject to change. So for the time being, they are allowing groups of five, as long as we have a time that they can commit to. If there's anyone who's interested in participating in a flagging event at the Woodlawn Cemetery, we ask that you contact Carla Cabrera Carrera, who is the Bronx Community Board's coordinator, one of our wonderful staff members at our board. I'm going to put her email in the chat. I'm going to put it in the chat, kcabrera@cb.nyc.gov. And it's important, once we get the information, we hope to get it soon. so that members of the public can join. I'm going to put it in the chat right now. Questions, anyone? Comments? Okay, so let me just add this to the chat. Wait a minute. Wait, that's not it. So next on the agenda, I want to find out, I have suicide prevention update. So one of our partners, Ronald Downs of the VA, has been working on initiatives to address suicide awareness in the community. And I was hoping that we would have an update. Is there anyone here that works with Ronald Downs on the call right now? I don't see him on.
I'm on the committee with you, but I don't work at the VA.
Okay, that's right. Will, you're on the same committee, right?
Correct.
Yes. Have you heard any updates as of yet?
No, but I know it's supposed to be every 24th. And I did see that today he sent something to Amjad in regards to trying to push more community engagement across the city for veterans. But other than that, I haven't seen any minutes or anything come back from the last meeting that we had.
Okay, so perhaps it's kind of early right now, I would guess.
I'm assuming somebody's going to come out in the next couple of days, to be honest, because it's the 20th. So I'm assuming maybe Monday or Tuesday we're probably going to have the following meeting.
Okay, sounds good.
Let me ask you a question. What do you guys mean by community engagement? By getting the community involved with the suicide prevention?
Yeah, so they engaged the Bronx pretty well. They reached out to a couple of us outside in like Manhattan, for example, to kind of engage homeless shelters, universities, different SVF programs, to kind of combat suicide prevention within the VA. It's kind of high right now, according to Ronald. Chad knows. 66% of veterans that commit suicide never actually went to go get any type of mental health at the VA. So the VA is really committed to getting into the communities to try to engage these veterans in, to try to prevent the suicide from going on.
So I have another question, quick question. So how do we get involved as, non-veterans and on committees to help to reach out to these people, to help them, to engage with them, and to, is there a training for us, or is there anyone we can talk to if we want to volunteer in the
No, that was my blood pressure pills.
We're
Don't act like Marty.
actually looking to develop that right now as we speak.
You need change for what? Okay, then use my card.
Hello, Kathleen. I think you're unmuted.
Sorry.
That's all right.
So what was you saying, Chad?
I was saying that's one of the reasons why the committee was formed, so that we can get it started. We hope to have some more information in the pipeline. Hopefully we can launch something this summer, but we just got to see how far we go. But we'll let you, we're hoping to have an update soon. All right. Someone had a hand up. I have 2 hands, 3 hands. I don't know who was first. Mr. Coates, you want to start first?
Lynn Johnson's going to touch on this. So Lynn Johnson's going to give you the POCs for the new people they hired at the VA for the suicide. I also will send you a thing tomorrow regarding a whole bunch of groups that will help regarding grants. So they got grants from the VA to help regarding suicide prevention and stuff like that. And I'll send it to you, Chad, so you can give it to the rest of your community.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. Thank you.
I have a question to him. Is that for everybody?
That's for everybody that wants to help veterans.
That's for everybody? Okay.
That wants to help veterans. Let me
Right,
say,
I get that, I get that. And is that for, is it Bronx, is it for the Bronx base or is,
it's New York City, the ones that I know, but Bronx has a Bronx VA, and Lynn will hit on that, right, Lynn?
okay.
All right, good evening, Lynn. I see you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for inviting me, Chad, to this event. Yes, all of the suicide prevention coordinators located at East VA Medical Center offer free trainings to veterans, the family members, and community liaisons who want to get involved in suicide awareness, no matter where they're at, whether they're at a homeless shelter, whether or not they're at a senior citizen center, whether or not they might be at a local job that has veterans. So it doesn't make a difference if your local community board veterans committee would like to have a training. All you need to do is get in contact with Ronald Downs and let them know that your local community board would like to have that training provided to your local community board. You can become a certified community board from that suicide awareness training at your local community board. They do it across the whole entire city. There is zero cost to your community board as far as any cost is concerned. Like Mr. Coates said, there's grants that are already available. They will bring all the training materials, offer everything, and it's open not only just to the veterans and the spouses of the family members of the veterans, but any community member who want to get involved with decreasing the suicides amongst our veterans community. Anyone who wants to get involved.
That was my next question. How can I get involved? Suppose my community board don't want to do it and I want to do it on my own and I want to become certified. How would I get involved in that?
Anyone can do it. Anyone can be involved.
Are they gonna put the information in the chat where I can,
Well, Ronald, Mr. Downs, I guess, because he's the lead. Mr. Downs is the liaison for the Bronx, so that would be the point of contact.
Chad, you have his information?
I got his info.
Okay.
Yes.
In fact, we're going to speak
Put
soon.
it in the chat. He's here, he in the meeting?
He's not on the meeting. I'm not sure if he was able to make it.
Can you put his information in the chat?
I'll look for it.
At the end, well, when we finish.
If not, Chad, if you could send out an email, because there are lots of us who are interested in taking the training program.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
kind of put it out there on the wire so everybody can have it. And then we could make a contact. And then maybe he can come to the next meeting and go into detail on what the training involves and, where do we meet or, some of the particulars.
Got you. Makes sense. Amjad, you had your hand up?
Yes, good evening, everyone. I just wanted to say also, if I'm not mistaken, DVS also has a veterans mental health training. I'm not sure if they still provide that, but I think they do. If anybody can confirm that, that is something that is also free to the public as well as to the veteran community, where you can learn how to help somebody identify the signs of someone who might be going through mental health issues and how to encourage them in getting help and supporting them in that effort. So you can contact New York City Department of Veterans Services to find out more information in that regard. And that's the veterans mental health training. And it's normally a 1 day or 2 day training, depending on if they break it up in sections, but that should still be available. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. Any other questions? I don't see any other hands. Actually, Ms. Aisha Taylor, I think you asked something in the chat.
Took care of it.
We took care of it? Okay, got you. Okay, so we'll move on. So next topic we have. I'm not sure if we should do this.
Chad, I'm sorry, Chad. This is Aisha. There was, I did get the second question answered,
Okay.
but I was asking about, you were talking about another committee because I came in a little late. You were talking about another committee. Are we speaking about this committee or something completely different?
Oh, we were talking about in reference to suicide awareness in the Bronx.
Okay, there's a separate committee for that?
Outside of the community board, yes.
Oh, okay, okay.
So I was going to make a statement. If anyone is interested in being part of a suicide awareness platform, I'll just call it platform, drop your email and I'll keep the emails and forward you with the information and get a hold of Ronald Downs.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So I'm going to write this right now.
We drop it to you, Chad, or just put our email in the chat?
In the chat, in the chat. Okay, so the next topic is the big one. The New York City Veterans Advisory Board recently had a discussion on the proposed VA closures in our city. And the meeting took place last week. It was about over an hour and a half. Many people showed up, a lot of familiar faces. Some of them are on this call right now. And we even had some electeds on that call as well. And I guess the general consensus is that the majority of our veteran and veteran constituencies feel left in the dark with the proposal of the proposed closures of the VA medical centers. I know I expressed my concern with service delivery. If you're going to close the centers, how are the services going to be provided for the veterans? How will their travel be affected? How will this play a part in suicide awareness? Will this actually increase the cases of suicide or not? Or, I mean, there was a number of opinions, and I was hoping that we could possibly come up with some questions that we can bring forth to the powers that be in an effort to get more information and support the proposal not going through, if I'm saying it right. The video is on YouTube. I had shared it with some members here. I can find the link and I can put it in the chat so that everyone can view it. But I want to open up the floor. I know, Jean, you were on that call, and I believe, Hugo, you were on that call as well. What are your thoughts so far from that meeting?
One of the things that I was interested in is they spoke about closing the VA centers in Brooklyn and in Manhattan, and then they were saying that they want to transfer these people up to the Bronx. But here's the thing, how are they supposed to get there? Okay, because you might be disabled, you might have other issues. To travel from Brooklyn to come all the way to the VA hospital in the Bronx could be problematic. Then the other thing I had problems with, they don't really offer specific services for female veterans. And they seem to lump them all into the same category with the men. And they both have different issues that need to be attended to. So they need to have a separate wing at the VA at Kingsbridge for females. And right now, I don't think they have that. So that was one of the things that they were talking about, just putting all of these people into one basket, canceling out these other two places. Then when they were speaking about, they wanted to have single bedrooms. So if you're going to have single bedrooms, you got to separate the men from the women right then and there. Then one of the other things that came up that was important, I thought, that they were talking about privatizing the VA. That to me is very problematic. You want to privatize this, because if you privatize it, then whoever puts the money up, they have their own set of rules and regulations that they could try to make the vets follow. And I don't think that's correct. Then there was another thing with the problems of the food. So they've not really been serving them fresh food. They just do these packaged meals, which may not be healthy for them. And then it may not be even edible. So why they can't have a cook in-house, I don't understand. Have a cafeteria in-house where fresh food can be prepared for the veterans at the VAs. That I don't understand either. So those were just some of the things that I wrote down, from the meeting. So maybe somebody else picked up on some other things they want to speak about also.
Thank you for that, Jean. And just point of information, Hugo actually dropped the YouTube link in the chat so that everyone can view the video and weigh in their thoughts. I too was wondering about a comment that someone had made on the call, similar to what you said, Jean. As a female, how are they going to have their privacy issues honored when they're entering into a medical facility? Hugo, I don't know, were you on the call too, Hugo, right?
I was on that call. And the things that struck me the most was the issues, aside from the majority did not want to have the privatization of the VA medical facilities. Some of the people stated that the VA medical facilities are definitely not perfect and there's room for improvement, but it would be far better than privatizing the system. There was some talk about how if you privatize an organization, then it's based on profit. And the moment that the people who are running it don't make a profit, they'll leave. And then where are you going to be? You're going to be waiting for another organization to take over. There was conversation about the issues that women veterans have and that apparently they're really underserved by the Veterans Administration. And I guess that's a topic that we can focus on in depth at some later meeting also, because even though they may be a small percentage of veterans, they're still veterans and they're still important people just like everybody else. And then the final thing that I distinctly recall from the meeting is that the location issues in two parts. The first is that closing the medical facilities and having people go outside of their boroughs or counties would be a huge imposition on people in terms of time and in terms of other issues. I mean, people were having issues already with, say, like the Brooklyn facility, which is all the way in Bay Ridge. And if you're in another part of Brooklyn, getting there by public transportation or even regular transportation can take a while. So those are the things I recall from the meeting.
Thank you, Hugo. So we have a few hands here. I don't know who was first. Roxana, thank you for joining us. Roxana, are you on?
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Beautiful, beautiful. I was saying that it's a pleasure to be on representing Community Board 5. And I'm so happy to hear that CB7 is so involved. One of the things that did concern me with the closure, the proposal that they're presenting, is that most of the services that are offered for females are particularly the ones that we obtain from that location. So currently the Bronx has a women's wing that is very basic. And I believe they're planning to expand, but they don't have the equipment to be able to deal with breast MRIs and all these other things that women are, is so important to us. And once they relocate, and if they do that, right, we currently at Kinbridge have a parking concern. We arrive at our appointments, and it takes a minute for you to go around in circles looking for parking. I cannot imagine adding an influx of other veterans from another location. I know there were plans of building a parking infrastructure, but I'm not sure if that's even going to occur anytime soon. And concerning transportation, I mean, it's a hassle. I mean, when I have to deal with heading downtown, I gotta, calculate an extra hour just to kind of figure out parking if I'm driving. It's just, even in Brooklyn. So right now, with the current situation that we have a transportation concern. So just imagine closure on those locations. So I hope that we all stay active on this issue, on these closures, just so we could advocate. We have veterans that their voices are not heard. They might not be in media. So and I thank for those. I'm so thankful for you, Chat, and those in this committee that are not veterans, but are so engaged. And I am thankful that you are. And thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Again, I don't know who rose their hand after Roxana. Amjad, you want to make a point?
Yes. Good evening again, everyone. This is very frustrating, and I'm just outraged at these proposals. Now, during the meeting, they said this is a 10-year projection, so they're saying that it won't happen immediately. They recommended 10 years from now, but and it's not even in committee yet on the federal level before it goes to the different chambers of Congress. The thing also was so frustrating to hear how they plan to farm out veteran service. Say, for instance, those who live on Staten Island, they recommend they go to Jersey, and it's outrageous how you don't even give consideration to, like what's being said, the transportation concerns of a lot of veterans from Staten Island to go there, or for Brooklyn, Manhattan to come to the Bronx. And the second thing that really stood out was the funding issue of all this new change. This operation is on a federal level. If you farm it out or if you try to privatize it, the city and the state will have to pick up a lot of the costs, and they will not have the budget, line items to do so. So there will be a major shortfall. You asking these other medical establishments to pick up, and many of them won't, provide the level of care service that would be needed by the veterans and their families. In addition to the VA, as was mentioned before, the medical center is not just a medical center. It's part of the veteran culture, where veterans can go to fellowship with one another to get support. You have the veteran bond there, and it's almost like a refuge from your daily ongoings, where people can find solace to a degree, and to be able to know that the care focus is focused on veterans, and it's not like you're just another number in somebody's medical care plan. So we need to stay vigilant. We need to form a game plan in terms of lobbying our elected officials to push back on these proposals, as well as educate the community, as well as the veteran, the general community, and also make sure that veterans within the community here in New York City understand how this is going to greatly impact. They talked about the reason why they are making these changes, because there's a shift in the veteran population moving south and Midwest or what have you. That although you have a lot of people transitioning to different states or whatnot due to the pandemic and other reasons, you still have a large population of veterans here in the city, especially elder veterans, as well as those returning from current conflicts around the world. So, and God forbid, we have boots on the ground in Ukraine, but we're looking at a whole different campaign that might be coming up for us. So this is not the time to be doing some foolishness like this. They can find money wherever they need to do some other, grandiose plan, but they, all of a sudden you got to make cutbacks to veteran care. The people on the front line, the 1%ers. This is ridiculous, and we need to fight back hard. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Aisha Taylor.
Yes, hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you for this time. And I am most definitely echoing you all. Thank you so much to the veteran, I would say accomplices. I think allies is like a simple term, but when we are accomplices, we're in this together and we're going down together. So I know people use that word negatively, but I think it's powerful for this space. And I just want to thank y'all for standing in the gap for the veterans who can't be here. And I just want to share again, and I know I shared at not the last meeting, but a prior meeting about just my story, but I want to share a little bit more to give you all some insight on, just what this would look like. So I originally, when I came to New York, I was living in the Bronx, Parkchester area, and then I moved to Staten Island. My boys and I, so I would travel I was right on Bay Street, and across from Tappan Park, if you all are familiar with that area. And so I would have to travel from Staten Island to the Brooklyn VA. That's about, on public transportation, maybe like 2 hours, maybe an hour and a half or something like that. I can't remember the whole thing, but you got to take a bus. Staten Island, y'all know the buses, it's not like how the city is, right? And so even though it's a part of 5 boroughs, so you go to Staten Island, Brooklyn VA they just got a brand new oncology facility, like state-of-the-art facility. And as I can't remember the other lady's name, but she was mentioning that Bronx VA is not set up like that. Okay, it's not set up like that. And so I actually, during my, as full disclosure, and I know, but not full disclosure, but just to share a little bit about my story, is that I had to fight for brain surgery to have a brain tumor removed, like fight meaning right the White House fight, right? And so I went to Staten Island for that treatment. I was having tons of issues. They was giving me like crazy medications, maybe like 8 to 10 or something like that. I wasn't even able to function. That's a whole nother thing. But then within that space, I moved back to the Bronx so I could be closer to the Bronx VA. And I had within that same space, I actually got, what do you call it? 1% unemployability rated due to my service-connected disabilities. And I know maybe a lot of people don't know what that is, but I don't want to take up too much time trying to explain that piece. And so, which means that offered me a healthcare service or access to a different set of healthcare than in addition to my services at the VA. And so from that point, I was able to actually get a second opinion outside of the VA space, right? But it had to be, what do you call the thing? Oh, a referral from your PCM, or whoever you were seeing, whoever specialty doctor you were seeing. So I share that because throughout that process, before they allowed me to do that, I was back and forth from Brooklyn VA to Manhattan VA to the Bronx VA. And there's a shuttle service that you take from, I know there's one that comes down from St. Albans to the Bronx VA. There's a shuttle service that goes from Bronx to Manhattan, and then Manhattan to Brooklyn. And so and then I don't know how the Staten Island one works because I wasn't privy to that information then. But I'm sharing all this logistically so you all can see that if they shut down any of these VAs, it is going to destroy, like it is going to tear veterans apart. They cannot do this. They cannot. It will not be beneficial. I don't give a damn if they got a 10-year plan. 10 years is a short time, right? It will not be beneficial, okay? The Bronx VA is not even equipped. They only have one female room in the ER, one. Okay. Other than that, like when we go in there and they, you walking around with the men. If they're walking around, you have to, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just so much that they're not prepared. It's no way. I think what they got like maybe 20 rooms or so like that in the ER. Again, the other lady was talking about the wing for women, but it's really not. They did have a wing for women, but they moved during the pandemic. They moved everything. They did construction, and then, like I said before, they actually, when I go see my primary care provider, I am in a room with men in the waiting area. The wheelchairs are taking up the spaces, so you can't sit down. And that's not their fault, right? That's on the VA. And they got providers who see women providers who see men, and so we're in that same space. And then if you need specialty clinic, anything GYN, then you got to go next door. That's a little bit more private, but still, you still got to talk to your PCM in that same space as men. You know what I'm saying? Like I was going in a couple of weeks ago, and some lady's husband was looking at me and he's asking me questions like, oh, do you know? Oh, and I'm looking like, why are you sitting here and why are you asking me questions? Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm pissed off because I'm like, why are y'all even here? And not like that, but women are already not the face of veteran, right? And you don't know that it's a lot of women who are still going to who still like navigating through military sexual trauma, like all of these things. And to put them in a room with, men who may have been conditioned away, even if they're not, but the fact that they have to be in that space where that's supposed to be a safe space for them and they can't, is triggering every time. And the VA don't look at this because the VA is not set up for women at all. I told y'all every time I go there, I'm still asked, where's my husband? Right? Or are you married? Like that's the first thing. Oh, did you serve? And I'm so sick of that because damn right I served. Right. And so it's just kind of like, this is going to do us a disservice. The points that I want to reiterate, transportation is major and you got to fight to get that money back. For me, I feel like all veterans should have access to free transportation. Like even through radiation therapy, I had to fight for transportation, y'all. I had to fight. I wasn't going to be able to, especially with the Bronx VA, it's a fight there. Like I had to write some more people. Going through radiation therapy for brain, for a brain tumor. I had to fight for transportation, even being 100%. So can you imagine for the veterans who don't have that, what they're going through? And this is why veterans don't like to come to the VA, especially the younger veterans, because the experience is not created holistically, right? It's just not. It's just not. And woman is not the face. Black woman is not the face. My age group is not the face of veteran. And so the VA needs to do an overhaul of what veteran looks like. What does a holistic veteran look like? And how can we provide those services? I will give them kudos for the whole wellness program that they have going on, which is okay. Because they're incorporating different, techniques like, breathing techniques and different things like that. But we cannot, whatever we got to do, we got to fight this. This should not be able to pass. And to those of you who are sitting in these positions, speaking and advocating for veterans, listen, I don't know, you gotta fight. You gotta fight and dismantle this immediately, because us being privatized is not going to benefit veterans. It's only going to benefit those major corporations and those key players. It's not going to benefit us. It's not.
Thank you.
Chad,
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Can I say something?
So, I'm sorry. I know Samuel had his hand up for a while.
All right.
And I think Hugo, I know Sam, you were on the call. I want to hear your thoughts.
So let's put facts. I'm a veteran, but I also work for the VA. 3 things that came up and 2 things I solved. For the women, if you're having issues, reach out to me. I got somebody that you could talk to from the women's health, and you could voice these things. Second, Regarding transportation, I even went to the VA in Brooklyn and Manhattan to make sure about this. If you're 100% service connected, all you gotta do is go to travel. I went with somebody that I actually walked through in Brooklyn.
It doesn't work like that in the Bronx, sir.
Okay, so I understand. So I'll get you somebody that could talk to you about that. But just send me an email. It's in my thing. I also put in the report of what everybody's talking in case y'all lost about who they're closing. It's not just New York City. It's happening everywhere. Like I said before at the meeting, and I'm gonna say it again. I served 34 years. I'm out, 3 years? So there's like 37 years. 37 years, they've been talking about closing Fort Hamilton. 37 years, they were talking about closing Fort Totten. 37 years, they were closing Fort Dix. It's still there. This will take time. But I will say this. If it does happen, it's because the vets are not using the VA. I'm going to tell you like this. I'm a veteran. I got my compensation. I don't have to use the VA. I got my money. But I use it because I don't want it to close down. Staten Island. I'm gonna tell you about Staten Island. Staten Island veterans do not like leaving Staten Island. They don't leave, but they'll go to Jersey real quick. But they'll complain about going to Brooklyn. So it's a veteran preference. Every veteran has a catchment area. Every veteran has their thing. Me as a veteran, sometimes I don't like going to the Manhattan, and sometimes I don't want to get on the damn Long Bridge, even though I get a discount $5. I don't want to go down that bridge, and I don't want to go over the ferry. So I'm acting like a Staten Island because I've been here for 7 years. But everybody has their preference. Going forward, if anybody needs guidance, Lynn Johnson's here. My counterpart in the Bronx and White Plains, Damian Guzman is here, and I'm here. You can always reach out to us, and I can guide you. That's all I got to say.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Helene, quick comments, and I believe Hugo might have had his hand up too. Go ahead.
This is a quick comment. I hear what Aisha's saying. I'm not a vet, but I can identify with her, frustration. And Samuel, you stated that, oh, well, this happened 37. They were saying this 37 years ago that they was going to do this, that. You got to realize things move forward from 37 years. And we had so many administrations, and now we got a new administration. And this is not just talk. This is what they about to do. This is on the table. I just came from the Black Caucus. This is on the table. This is what, so I understand what Aisha's saying. We need more than a fight than to sit there and say, well, they said this 37 years ago. We need to get our elected officials involved. We need to fight for this because it seems like it's gonna happen. I was in Albany. I just came from Albany. And this was on the table because it's not being used. Like you say, you don't like to travel. A lot of people go this one, they go that one. This is about to happen. So I get what she's saying. We have, instead of saying, well, something happened 37 years ago and they didn't close it. This is not 37 years ago. This is 2022. And this is actually on the table, what they're going to do. So we need to, instead of sitting back and always discussing something, like I understand why Aisha said, it has to be some type of fight. You can't sit there and say, well, they may or may not doing it. No, this is going to happen. They're not playing. We have a different administration. We're in 2022. Things have changed dramatically. So this is what they're talking about. We're going to wait till they close them to do something about it. We can't sit back and wait that long.
Can I piggyback off of her, please?
Go ahead.
What I mean by 37 years,
right after you is William. Go ahead.
What I mean by 37 years, this been on the blocket before me and you was born. This been on the blocket for closing bases, closing VAs. This been before we were even born. It comes up every time, and I'm gonna tell you when it comes up. Every time an elected official want to get elected, I'm talking as a veteran, because this has always been happening. When a veteran and when somebody wants to get elected, I ain't saying names. People always trying to bring stuff to the thing. I'm gonna be honest. Black on black crime, minorities, all this been out there since we were born, before we were born. Here comes phones. Now we see it, so everybody wants to make a president of it. But this been happening before. Let's talk about Public Enemy from back in the days. black on black. This has always been, before that, the Black Panthers, this is before we were born. But the thing is that what I'm trying to say is we need to use the VA. No matter if it sucks or not, we got to use it. Because if we don't use it, we're going to lose it.
Yeah, well, I get that, but what's why Aisha is saying that we need to fight now. Right? I know you saying that the vets need to come out and they need to do this and they need to go to the VA, but they're seriously talking. I'm telling you, I just came from the Black Hawk. I just came from Albany, and this was one of the workshops I took, being that I'm on the Veterans Committee, and they seriously talking about closing it. We got to get to the mayor. Your mayor, you got to get to the mayor, and we have to start some fighting, some outreach, and we have to do something, because they seriously trying to close these unused hospitals, these VA hospitals. This is really, if you think they're not safe, you think it's about elected, maybe it is, but they're going to close these hospitals. They are serious. It's seriously going forward if we don't fight. If we don't get people together, if we don't do, okay, I understand you got to use it, but they still talking about, even if you use them, they still talking about, oh, well, they not in use, unquote, quote unquote, we're going to close. They about to close these hospitals. So what can we do instead of sitting here and saying, oh, they said it before, they said this, what can we do now?
So
we need some.
I think also, I hear both of your points, and I think both of y'all have very good facts out there. And to Helene's point, we do need to have a plan of action. It might be that they might stall for the next 10 years and not close them, but we don't need to take the chance of it either, because you never know in this day and time. Everything could get turned upside down before you blink good. So we can't take the chance of saying, and Sam has a point, maybe they tell these stories all the time. They say they're gonna close these places. My cousin served at Fort Dixon in the 60s. And I know many a time they said they were going to close, and I think it's still open. But there always comes a time where they actually do what they say they're going to do. Then you're just lost out there in the wilderness. So to Helene's point and to Sam's point, I think we need to formulate a plan of action of which elected officials we need to be going after to make sure that this does not go forward. Because I know one of the things that some of the vets said at that meeting was that people are attached to the doctors in the facilities that they go to.
Right.
Because that's who they have a commitment with. They're not willing to just run here, there, and whatever. I go to the same doctor all the time. He knows who I am. I know who he is. He knows what I'm about. When I got to go start over brand new with somebody else entirely different, then that's a whole nother situation. So a lot of these vets don't want to even be in that situation. So 3 things I think we need to do. We need to form this plan of attack, or how we're going to fight back against them with these closures, whether if they do it in the next 10 years or not. 2, we know it's election time, so everybody's out there talking whatever they want to talk to get a vote. So this is the best time to go after them, because when they want to vote, they have to actually get stuff done. Okay. And then 2, to Aisha's point, we need to make sure that women are properly covered. They serve the same way as men. They got to deal with the same nonsense. I've watched so many stories on the TV about how women are sexually harassed. Some of them were raped. That ain't even new. I heard that when my husband was in the service years ago, and how it all got swept under the carpet most of the time. So these are things we need to focus in on now. And let's see what our plan of action is going to be, because we all have opinions, but let's do some action.
Thank you for that, Jean. And I know, William, you had your hand up. I want to get to you, and then I want to bring a question to the floor. So Will, go ahead.
Sure. Thanks. Listen, some of us here have served. I respect women more than y'all can possibly imagine. I can't imagine, like, literally there's a lot more males than there are females. So this past Monday, there was a rally at the Manhattan VA. I got wind of it last week. It's something that they were talking about, because it's not just the veterans that are going to be hurt. it's the federal employees and nurses and doctors that we were talking about that are going to lose their pensions and jobs, and they're going to be pushed out, and they're not going to have anything. So I was excited. I actually went down there. I took one of my employees with me, and I'm like, there's going to be a strong showing. When I got there, there was less than 25 people. I counted it for this rally. There was Congressman Maloney, and I can't remember the other congressman that serves that district of Manhattan. He went on the podium, and in a matter of giving a speech, he shook two hands and then ran across the street, said he had to go. I then went inside to go find Lynn Johnson. I went to go find Carlina, and I ran into Sammy Coates, and we sat there and we were figuring out, how are we going to do outreach? How are we going to get more vets coming to receive services at the VA? Because we need more vets to come to the VA in order to keep these services up. It's at the end of the day, we're serving a population. Any hospital, doesn't matter if it's NYU Langone or if it's New York Presbyterian, you need vets to come in for services, whether they like all the services. Listen, I'm 100% myself. There's some things I like, some things I don't like. Privatizing, for example, right now I had to go to, less than 6 months ago, I went to an ER visit. They took me to a private hospital because they wouldn't take me to the VA. I'm still trying to figure out how to get that paid. So trying to bring in civilian and government at the same time and try to do that for a whole bunch of vets isn't necessarily going to work. So an action plan, we can draw one. It's what I'm trying to get one. That's perfectly fine. I get services from the Manhattan VA. I have friends of mine that work at the Manhattan VA, at the Brooklyn VA. The thing is, we have to be in unison. There can't be 25 people that show up when the employees are begging to, the employees, and most of them aren't vets, they're civilians, want to keep this place open for vets. And the veteran population doesn't surround us in the background.
But I think you're frozen.
We can all get hyped and worked up in here, and that's fine. I don't want that to happen. At the end of the day, I'm still going to go to Manhattan VA. It's the closest hospital to me. Whether I like this doctor, I don't like that doctor, that's my opinion. Like any vet or civilian or anybody else, we're entitled to that. But creating an action plan means that we got to follow through with what we're doing. Like for me, Sammy, and a couple others that work here that in that population, our goal is to engage vets to get them back into these systems. Because if we can get new vets coming out, vets that aren't going there because they had a bad experience with the VA, and get them re-engaged, then we have a shot of showing the government, hey, our numbers are up. We have more patients. We got to go to these people. And I understand no one's going to go from Brooklyn all the way to the Bronx. It's just like getting Staten Island, like Sammy said, to come out to Manhattan. We all understand how long and how difficult travel is. Some of us aren't in great shape to be able to do that. So if we're going to come up with an action plan, all I'm trying to say is talk is great, but actions is what we're judged on. And that's all I want to put out. Thanks for letting me share, Chad.
When was the veterans informed though? I don't.
Oh, if I'm not recall, was that the one where Senator Schumer made the press conference? Was that the same meeting?
No, it was Congressman Maloney.
Okay, that's a different one. Because I must have missed it too. I don't recall if that was shared or not.
How is information shared among the vets? Is there a
Right,
veterans newsletter?
That's a tough
Is
question.
there a website that they can go to? Can they look it up on YouTube? Because everybody now is online doing something or other. So I think particularly with the younger vets, like maybe a YouTube channel can be created for the vets. There might be one already. And I think you reach out to more people, like we can pass the information from community board to community board, but we also need to let the generalized public know that who are veterans, that this is what's happening, because I have vets that live here in the building here where I live. And some of them go to the VA hospital, the older ones do. The younger ones, I don't think go. So we need to engage these younger guys, like you're saying, because the younger ones have a different mindset as opposed to the older vets who've been in the service for long periods of time. So we need to find a way, and this is just not just for the veterans, this is for anything today. How do you engage these younger people?
I wanted to ask a question real quick, but I wanted to address Lynn Johnson. Did you have a comment that you wanted to make before I bring my question forth? Hi, Lynn.
Oh, for me, Chad. Oh, no, go ahead, ask your question. Go ahead, ask your question. Then I'll make a statement. Go ahead.
Okay, so my question was simple, and I think this might have been something, correct me if I'm wrong, this might have been something that Will had mentioned at the advisory meeting. What are some of the questions that we would need to ask in order to try to get the answers that we need when we reach out to our elected officials? So in other words, are we just telling our elected officials, we want you to say no to this proposal, or do we want to get some questions that will help them rally so that they can do more than just oppose the proposal, but maybe put something that can stop it in its tracks? If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I had to give everybody a little backtrack for what my background is first. I cover, well, I work for the VA New York Harbor Healthcare System. I cover the Manhattan VA, the Brooklyn VA, the Queens St. Albans VA, and Staten Island VA medical centers. I'm also the minority veterans coordinator for the Department of Veteran Affairs. So anyone who fits that minority veterans category, African Americans, somebody else is talking, I guess. That minority veterans category, African American, Hispanic, Latino, Asian American, Pacific Islander, Native American. I also am the advocate for them at all of those VA medical centers in all of the 4 boroughs outside of the Bronx. I'm also the outreach community relations liaison for the medical centers in the New York Harbor Healthcare System in the 4 boroughs. But I'm also a Marine Corps, disabled Marine Corps veteran. So this is like, it's a personal for me, but besides, I also use the Manhattan VA as a veteran. So not only am I also an employee of the VA Medical Center, I also am a client of the VA Medical Center as a veteran using the facility. But in terms of, Chad, your question in reference to the elected officials, you got to look at it. What's in it for me? Whenever you deal with any elected official, you got to always approach them. How are they going to get something out of you approaching them in terms of you reaching out to them for some sort of support? But another thing is, many of the veterans, I always ask a veteran when they come to a VA medical center and they have an issue, complaint, or concern, or even something that they want to see in terms of improving the services that are already at the facility. First thing I always ask them, I say, okay, Mr. Johnson, I noticed that there are not the women, the ER, they don't have women facing beds. When a woman veteran comes in there, the beds are not facing in the opposite direction. It's facing in the same direction when men walk into the ER. And then that's the first thing I say, okay, have you filed a complaint? Have you put it in writing? No. I said, well, you need to put it in writing. I said, well, I have put it in writing and nothing has happened. Okay, I said, well, what other options have you taken from that point on? I said, have you reached out to your elected officials? Because that is your right. You're still a U.S. citizen. Besides serving for your country, you brought it to the attention of someone else. They said, well, no, I haven't. I said, well, do you even know who sits on your veterans committee in New York City as a veteran and for these veterans committees in New York City? The vast majority of us are not educated on who sits on the veterans committees from the city council level, from the state level, from the assembly level. from the Senate and the House level. So many of our veterans, we need to do a big education push, and so to educate our veterans who sits on these veterans committees. Many of us don't even know who sits on these veterans committee, who have some type of vote at the House and the Senate level to who much are going to sign off on this commission to recommend for these facilities to be closed. So I'm gonna give a prime example. A lot of people don't realize Christian Gillibrand is a big veterans advocate here in New York State that many of us don't even reach out to, speak to. She, this whole issue about with the women veterans with military sexual trauma, different things like that. We haven't even, I don't even see anybody within the Veterans Committee mentioning her name. She sits on the Armed Services Committee here. She's our representative from New York State. How many of our veterans here in New York State even know that she exists? I guarantee you, probably over 90% of our don't even know who their senator is that sits on the Armed Services Committee in New York City. I tell them all the time, do you know who your elected official is and how do they actually have a vote for any type of closures or anything that relates to veterans issues? So we need to be educated on who serves on what veterans committee, what armed services committee, XYZ, and how they have an actual stake and a vote in terms of what gets done in terms of you as a veteran. Another thing, for women veterans, Christian Gillibrand, she's very big on women's veterans issue that happened with that young lady out in Texas where she was molested by someone on that military base and was killed. She was one of the ones that brought the bill to have it taken out of the commander's hands the next time that happened to one of the service members on the base. She was one of the ones that sponsored that bill. So she's a very strong veterans advocate, but how many of us even know that to reach out to her? So, we need to recognize, some of these people within our own city, within our own sphere of influence, as far as elected officials who are strong veterans advocate. Hakeem Jeffries, he's one of the biggest members here in the New York City area. That's one of the majority in terms of the different caucuses in Washington, D.C. But once again, how many of our veterans even know that? So in terms of us, we need to get organized amongst ourselves individually before we can even move forward and to reach out to some of these elected officials, because we don't even know what half of them do. And that's it's kind of tragic that when we want to reach out to them and speaking amongst each other, that's one thing, but being able to reach out to some of these elected officials to try to get things done and to advocate on our behalf, that's another thing. So I just think we just need to be more organized. And another thing, in terms of us as VSO members, I'm also a member of American Legion. I'm also partnering with other community boards here in Brooklyn, because I live in Bedford-Stuyvesant and Brownsville. Us being one community board, you got community board in the Bronx, you got a community board here in Brooklyn. How many of us actually get together as community board veterans committees, local veteran service organizations, and we all huddle together in formation to have one voice, one formation to say, hey, we have one collective a voice and unity that when we go to speak to advocate for each other at the closures or any type of services that are being happening at these local VA facilities, that we all are in unison. It can't be just Chad speaking over here, this veteran speaking over here from the Bronx, this veteran speaking in Queens, this veteran speaking over here. We got to be on one same page, just like in the military. We all got to be on one same page, wearing one same uniform, having one same voice. We can't be all over the place, because that's how they pick us off. When they see they can get one veteran, because it's like, just like I said, just like back in the slavery days, you always can get one person that'll sell us out. And it always happens like that. We all got to be all on the same page. We all will not accept the services that they're providing for us in New York City. It is unacceptable. And whether or not you go to somebody in the Bronx, whether or not you go to somebody in Brooklyn, whether or not you go to somebody in Queens, we all are on the same page. This is unacceptable. We will not accept it. And we need to be all one voice and one saying. And like I said, I'm always for veterans, so I'm always going to advocate for that. But we all got to answer that, in one particular voice.
Thank you for that. It's 7:45, and I want to kind of finalize the questions part I know, Hugo, you had your hand up. Did you still have a question or no?
Different question, but no, I have new business I want to bring up whenever we're
Okay,
discussing your business.
so
I'm
we'll,
good for now.
we'll go right into the new business right after these final two hands up here. I don't know who was first, if it was Amjad or if it was Aisha. Anyone want to go first?
Yeah, this is Amjad. I just wanted to echo a lot what Lynn had just eloquently spoke about. And I put in the chat one resources that we need to tap into, many of us may not know about it, or if you do, is New York City Veteran Alliance. It's a nonprofit organization where they work on policy issues dealing with veterans and their families and things of this nature. And to getting civically engaged and learn, like Lynn was talking about, who your elected representatives are, who are our champions on the front line in terms of federal, city, or state dealing with veteran issues. We have to become more educated on these civic policy issues and see how we can come together. And now I think that Lynn touched on an idea which we should explore even further about having a veteran symposium of some time where we all come collectively together and work on these various issues and not just be a one-off, but start something that can grow in size and in effort moving forward. We're coming out of a pandemic. A lot of things was heavily affected in terms of service, in terms of resources. And on top of that, we have the downturn in the economy, et cetera. But we have to, adapt, adjust, and overcome the situation and start forming new alliances and use or develop a marketing advertising strategy, plan of action where we can blanket the city and, if need be, the state in regards to making people aware of these issues. One tool will be the New York City Veterans Alliance. There's other advocacy veteran organizations out there. We need to find them, tap into them, and bring them on board and collaborate with each other. And hopefully we can, explore an opportunity of developing the first veteran symposium here in the city where we can address these issues on healthcare, whether it be mental health, whether it be housing, employment for veterans, family care, care, for veteran caregivers, and really focus on a variety of benefits that a lot of veterans don't know about. I yield the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. And the last hand before we get into new business, Aisha, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, just really quickly, I just wanted to say that, we have to be mindful of the language that we use when we're talking to veterans. That's a big piece, especially women veterans. Ms. Lynn, I know you didn't mean it, but, molestation happens to children, right? That's something different than rape or a sexual assault and different things, right? And so, education, to your point about education, it is very important. And I think I didn't see the name in the chat. It's Long MJ, the artist, or something like that, but was talking about the access. We just because there's programs out there does not mean that veterans have access to them, especially during the pandemic. And we have to really identify and look at the barriers to veterans accessing these services. And how are veterans actually supposed to know? When we were talking about pulling up the documents for the hospital closures or whatever the case may be in the prior meeting, there was nobody from New York City on that veterans board. We acknowledge, I know exactly who Senator Gillibrand is. I've emailed her from homelessness issues to all of these things, right? Like this whole process. And so despite who's out there, just know that everybody's experience is not the same. And just because these people are in position and publicly, they have to acknowledge these issues and call out these issues. But that does not mean at the levels, at the hospitals where the people receive the services, that the processes are actually implemented and that there's actually somebody being accountable for that in these particular spaces. And I know you all don't know me, but I'm also, I'm on the Community Education Council for District 10. I spend a lot of time in the education space. I've been a shelter monitor for the Coalition for the Homeless For
That's how I
years.
met Aisha, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm the president of that council, 62 schools, you know, over 30,000 students. So like this work is in me as well. And then my history of advocacy goes back to the Poor People Campaign and other spaces too. But I want to share with y'all, just because they have people in position does not mean that the people who are at the bottom who really need these services are getting them. And we have to be careful about restating that political narrative, right? But I do agree that we need to become one united voice, and it has to happen, right? We do need to become one united voice. So I just wanted to share that, and thank you so much.
Thank you for that. Thank you. So it is now 7:50. I wanted to quickly jump to the last topic, which is really short. And for the members of the committee, Jean, Helene, Emmanuel, Hugo, if you had any ideas for what you wanted to do for the June meeting, I know an idea came up without us even having to ask about it, was some kind of symposium where we can actually brainstorm on how we want to move forth with this matter. But again, it's just a thought. I would venture to say that from this point, if we were to brainstorm offline, some of the electeds that we mentioned in the call that we want to reach out to, maybe we can use this opportunity to formulate how we go forth with a letter of support. I don't think we have all the information just yet to go forth, since we have to direct the letter of support to certain officials who will be in a position of managing what happens with the proposal that's presented on the table. But that's just a thought that I wanted to bring. Hugo, Jean, Helene, Emmanuel, any quick thoughts on that?
My first thought is to organize. I think Lynn gave us between him and Aisha, they gave us good blueprints, and also the rest of the petty people here at the meeting tonight, that we need to organize ourselves so that we are all one voice, that we all have the same common goal and how we want to push forward. Like Lynn gave us some good information, Aisha did, and everybody else did. Who are some of these people we need to reach out to, who we need to come at? But we got to have our own plan of action before we go to them. We need to put all of our thoughts together. Everybody can write down a piece of how they think we should go at this, so that when we have the June meeting or the May meeting, whichever one, that we already are formulating this. So by the time we get to June, we can come to them, we can come out and say, okay, these are the issues that we find are foremost that have to be brought forth to help our veterans and help veterans' family members, and also about the closings, whether or not, if they're happening in the next 10 years or not. But we're speaking as one united voice, because there's unity in numbers and we don't get picked off like that. So I think we work to form this coalition. That's my thought on it.
Okay.
Or Jean mentioned some good points. We can have a round table to start. What about a round table? We can have that to start and then throw out some ideas there.
Okay.
You know, and maybe, I don't know how we can do it. Maybe we can invite elected officials, maybe. I mean, if they're willing, you know, I think we should have one elected official at that round table, or even whoever works with them or whoever, you know, but I think we can try to get elected official at that table. Have some type of round table. That's just the start.
Okay.
Start it off.
I think that's a good idea too, Wayne.
Okay. Emmanuel, Hugo, any thoughts thus far?
Yeah, so okay, so symposium on suicide next month is what you're thinking?
No, for the month of June.
For the month of June, okay.
Yeah.
And in the meanwhile, it seems like we're also thinking about trying to formulate the committee's position. So basically the creation of position papers and how to convey our positions to our elected officials. That's basically what we're discussing right now.
And the board perhaps.
And the board, well, yeah, that's all part of the process. We have to go
Right.
through the board first. So, okay, all right, that sounds good. Position papers.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
again,
so we'll have
this
to
is
get that
just
organized.
right. And again, this is just an idea for June, since because June is going to be the last month for the year before we go into hiatus. And if there's anything that we need to bring forth, we wanted to at least have some kind of impact.
I have one person I want to see at one of our meetings, and that will be whoever heads the Bronx VA. Because I've been on the community board since about 2018. I've been hanging out a little longer than that, and I don't know who runs the Bronx VA, and if the Bronx VA is going to be taking over so much of these services if and when the other hospitals are closed down in the other counties, then I think he or she should be communicating directly to the community, which is us.
Got you. Okay. So you had a quick question, Aisha?
No, sir, I didn't. I think I just didn't lower my hand.
Oh,
Sorry.
So good thoughts. Hugo, you wanted to bring up your new business piece?
Yes, a little bit of background. It's sort of off topic, but then it'll come right back to it. Basically, when I started off at the community board, before I started, one of the reasons I showed up here was I wanted to see how the community board managed its website, because that's a way that the newer generation communicates, and that's the way that we find, one of the primary ways we find information about anything is we go online, we find the website, the official website for everything. It's been a number of years that I've been on the committee, on the community board, and I think it's time that we as a committee should start to focus and design our own web page with information. It shouldn't have to be that somebody asks about where's the link to something when we could put it up on our own web page and the resource is right there. It shouldn't be that somebody mentions that we don't know who our elected officials who are on the veterans committees for the city, the state, and the federal government are. We should have them all on our web page ready to go so that information is there. The New York City Veterans Alliance webpage, that link should be on our webpage, ready to go, so nobody has to ask any questions unless they want to, and it's there. So that's the new business that I want to introduce. I would like us as a committee to get together and propose what the web page should look like and forward it to the staff to get it done. It's been like, I don't know how many, it's been a number of years that I've been here and I've been patiently waiting. I think it's time that we go forward.
And something, Hugo, I agree with you. I wholeheartedly agree with you. We have our executive meeting tomorrow. If you're able to attend, we can try to bring it up where there are other eyes on the table. But if you want to have more time to discuss how we move it forward, then we can definitely speak offline and try to see how we can push it forward with some facts and figures.
Oh yes, and I will be there tomorrow. And in the meantime, I will put a list of what a basic web page or mini site should have for us. Obviously, we don't control when it goes live and when it's been approved by legal and all the powers that be, but as long as we start something, eventually we'll get there. So I'll try to move as much as I can and communicate to other community members what my thoughts are. And then from there, I guess we could present at the next meeting or so, or before the next meeting, email it out to anybody who's interested.
Got you. Thank you. I see a hand. Lynn, you had a quick question?
Yes, Chad. I might be able to help you out with this real quick. I think I got it on my job computer. I already have the list of everybody who sits on the Veterans Committee for New York State. So if you want to, somebody can email me, and I'll give you the whole entire list. I'll just send it to you tomorrow morning. It's on my job email.
Can you put your email in the chat, please, once again?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I haven't saved them. So just send me an email tomorrow morning and I'll send you the whole entire list. Thank you. That's it. Thank you.
Got you. So we covered a lot today. Do I see any other hands? I don't see any other hands. This concludes the meeting. Wait, I got two hands up.
The chat first.
I got two hands up. So David?
Hey, how you doing, Chad? Just want to bring up.
Congrats, by the way.
Oh, thank you. It's coming. It's coming. My wife and I are expecting in the next month. I've been really busy, so I'm able to make these calls as frequently or on time.
Congrats anyway.
Thank you.
Congrats
Thank you.
anyway.
So anyway, I was just going to mention, do you know the Bronx Week is on again? And maybe that's a good opportunity. I don't know if the Community Board 7 has like a table out there, maybe to put some info out for our Veterans Committee on, stuff that's coming up and things that we're trying to do.
Good point.
I spoke to Barbara earlier, Chad, and she's going to bring it to the executive meeting exactly what CB7 is going to be doing at Bronx Week. So I know you'll be there so you can gather up that information. And I think that's a great idea too. We should have a table out there with information to give out.
We should have two tables.
I wouldn't mind sitting on it. I'll do that.
Yeah, that's an excellent venue.
I'll do
Yeah.
that.
Every time when I've tabled for some other organizations, yeah.
Brunswick falls within our community district, so if we don't show up there, we might as well all resign as a board, because we should be out there representing.
I agree. And thanks for that feedback, David.
Yeah, and if there's any other opportunities, maybe in June, like how we talked about trying to do an outreach, I'll send you some stuff on some ideas, but I know we're coming to a close right now. But I just want to bring up Bronx Week mainly.
Oh, definitely. So we have two other hands up. I don't know who was first, Amjad or Alina.
Chad, if I may, real quick, I
Sure.
just want to talk about some other issues, not issues, but announcements. So I've shared, many of you may not know, I work with the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. I'm the Bronx neighborhood health promoter, also a Marine Corps veteran. And we've been working to try to get out a lot of information and resources through our Veterans E-Blast. If you want to be a part of that E-Blast where we share information and resources, whether it be jobs, housing, medical services, all kind of information regarding the veteran community, please feel free to send me an email and I'll be happy to add you to it. We had postponed due to the pandemic, the Veteran Support Service Network initiative temporarily. And in the absence of that, I try to keep the E-Blast going so that people can stay informed and stay connected. From the health department itself, my office is at 1826 Arthur Avenue, and that's the Bronx Bureau of Public Health. I shared with Chad a number of announcements that he should email you guys regarding resources and things of that nature, dealing with updates on COVID-19 and what we should be aware of in terms of this new variant that's starting to rise. And even though the city and the state is lifting a lot of the mandates on wearing masks and things of this nature, my recommendation to everybody is proceed with caution. Use good common sense as you're going to and from your daily life, because this is still an issue. And even though we have, a great number more people vaccinated and not getting as sick, there is still that, potentiality there. So please be careful in that regard. In terms of announcements regarding my office, I wanted to let you know we're now starting to have in-person activities at our office. We have what is called a multi-purpose room, conference room, and we have several other conference rooms we make free to the public and to the community to use to have community meetings of various nature. I shared an email with Chad. If you would like to use one of these conference rooms for your community meetings, there is an online form that you can fill out to RSVP a room on whatever particular date that you might have in mind to hold your event. Granted, we're still using precaution, and we're not at full capacity in terms of meeting in person. So many of the conference rooms, I think it's either 12 or 15 max at this time. Our rooms hold a maximum of 30 on when things are fully operational. We have a variety of different conference rooms that you can use. Besides that, I've shared with Chad a number of employment opportunities that veterans can get engaged in, whether you are a veteran college student or and the general population as well can take full advantage of these employment opportunities. And we also have a family wellness suite where we have maternal health for expected mothers and for fathers to learn, good parenting skills and developing, good routines with a newborn. So there's a lot of information there. I'll be happy to share with you more information on that. But Chad, please send out all the emails that I had shared with you to the committee, and feel free to reach out to me. I put my information in the chat. So feel free to reach out. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I will do so. Just send the emails that I have, I'll send over. And if I don't have your email, please email me. And I think we have one more hand up. Miss Alina Dow, if you can.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Yes, thank
Welcome.
you. My name is Alina Dow. I'm actually the new Bronx Borough Director for the Mayor's Community Affairs Unit. I just wanted to take this time just to introduce myself to your committee. I did put my information, I think I put my information in the chat, but Chad, also you have my information. So please, if anybody would like to contact me regarding anything private or anything, please feel free.
Don't see it actually.
You don't see it? Wait, let me see. Okay, I'll go back in. I'll go back in and just put it again. That maybe I'm not sure why it wasn't going through. But I was listening to some of the issues. Please feel free, if you're going to send an email out, you can CC me and the mayor's office, or if there's something that you guys want to address that hasn't been addressed, again, please feel free to contact me. I have introduced myself at your main general meeting, but I do wanted to take the initiative just to meet everyone on a smaller group in the committees and just let you guys know that I'm available. That's pretty much it. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. So I just want to thank everyone for joining us today at our Veterans Committee. You guys make this meetings one of the best ones, one of the best groups that we have in the Bronx. I'm very grateful to be in a position where I can connect the dots so that we can do the job together. So just want to thank you all. Barring any other mention of anything, I can entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I move the
Motion to
motion.
adjourn.
This Emmanuel, I move the motion
Okay,
in the meeting.
Second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.